This is a story about how my cat lost his penis. Early one morning, I noticed he was straining to urinate, going in and out from one litter box to the next, and incessantly licking his rear end. Luckily, it was my day off, and I noticed it quickly and immediately rushed him into my practice, where my worst fears were confirmed. He was blocked. In some cats, mucus, crystals, and even tiny bladder stones can clump together to form a plug in the narrow male cat urethra. The bladder becomes painfully enlarged and urinary toxins build up in the body, which can even lead to death if not caught early enough. Luckily, one of my amazing coworkers was able to help me unblock him by carefully placing a urinary catheter while he was under anesthesia. Normally in these cases, the urinary catheter has to be left in place for multiple days while the inflammation goes down and the cats are kept on fluids while their kidneys recover. I then brought him over to my friend Dr. Crocker at Veterinary Emergency Group to have him monitored and placed on fluids. In just a few days, it was time for him to come home, and his urinary catheter was removed. Luckily, the blood work that I sent off to Moicor came back clearer than any kidney damage. Through Moicor's portal, I was able to look through the CBC, chemistry, and even see photos of his blood and urine. Moicor also comes with a free pathology review. Look at all those crystals and red blood cells in his urine sample. Here he is being all cute with his cone. I finally started to relax, but as a vet, I should have known better. Just 7 days later, he blocked again. I always warn cat owners that this can happen, especially within the first week or two, and we may be right back in the same situation as before. Unfortunately for Iroh, that meant he lost his penis privileges. Since it was the weekend and my practice was closed, I went to another ER called Animal Emergency Hospital of North Texas to get him unblocked a second time. The ER vet there was amazing and even taught me how she does an epidural to make it easier to unblock them. So here he was, being unblocked a second time, completely unaware he'd be losing his penis the next day. When male cats block multiple times, it's time to start considering a surgical reconstruction of the genitalia to create a more female-like opening. Here's a warning to you: if you don't want to see blood, you might want to fast forward a bit. In the morning, he was transferred to the surgical center next door, where the amazing veterinary surgeon, Dr. Wells, performed the surgery and even let me watch. Although some general practice vets are able to perform this procedure, it's pretty advanced and complications are much less likely if you go to a specialist. This surgery is called a perineal urethrostomy, or PU for short. Basically, the penis is removed and a new urinary opening is made, making it much less likely that they will block again in the future. In this procedure, the skin and muscle tissues surrounding the penis and catheter is carefully dissected. Once the penis is mobilized, the urethra is dissected down to the catheter and then meticulously stitched back to the skin. There are a ton of tiny nerves, vessels, and muscles in this area, so I'm always incredibly impressed by the surgeon's expertise. And here they are at the end, checking to make sure urine is flowing smoothly. The healing process definitely wasn't easy. With these procedures, the incision looks pretty gnarly for the first 2 weeks. There's a huge scab, and like most cats, he wasn't a huge fan of warm compresses. I switched him to a paper bedding litter so that there was no clay or crystals to stick to the incision, and I switched him to a veterinary prescription diet that acidifies the urine to help prevent bladder stones and future blockages. Since his urethral opening is much closer to his anus now, I'll also have to do periodic urine cultures to make sure he's not getting an infection. After the 3rd week, he finally got the cone off and is living his best life now with one less penis to worry about.